come with me to GalaxyCon St. Louis. I was asked not too long ago to guest at this convention, and there was no way that I was going to turn it down because I have always dreamed of guesting back home where I am originally from, and my dream came true with GalaxyCon. So come with me on my very busy weekend at the convention. So once we got to St. Louis, I was incredibly tired because I was running off of about an hour and a half of sleep. So we immediately got a rental car and headed straight to the hotel so that I can check that Ravenna survived. I have never flown with Ravenna before, and I was very concerned that the crowns would break. I brought both crowns I have, the one I competed in and the one I initially made, just to be safe, because I felt like the one that I made would be the one that would break first. It's a little thinner and more delicate. I had it wrapped up in Ravenna's overskirt with a note on top for TSA because I was concerned that the chains that hang off of it would look like wires. And it survived, all except for a tiny little tip broke off of one of the points, but it's barely noticeable. I headed over to the convention center to set up my booth. However, they weren't quite ready for us, so I dropped myself off back to the hotel and headed across the Mississippi River over to Alton, Illinois, to have dinner with my brother and family. If you ever make it into St. Louis, I think you should definitely carve out some time to head across the river. Alton has amazing restaurants, and it's about a 30-minute drive. It's not that bad, but I was told over the weekend that I have the Midwestern driving tolerance, so maybe 30 minutes is a really long time for other people, but for me 30 minutes is not that bad. So the next day was Friday, and everything was set up mostly by this time. The con started at 2 p.m. Got there at around 10 a.m. to set up my booth, and then went back to the hotel, got dressed, and came back to do a little walking around before things got too busy. Yes, they had crane games. Yes, I played them. Yes, I lost. I was actually really excited to see the amount of vendor stalls that we had at St. Louis. This is a first-year con, and when they announced it back in, I think, early 2025, maybe late 2024, I was incredibly excited to see a convention was finally coming back to St. Louis. We have not had a convention since 2021, which was Wizard World, and I'm pretty sure that wound up getting canceled. St. Louis is such a fun city to be in. It is filled with lovely, nerdy people, and it has a huge cosplay community boasted by a large group on Facebook called St. Louis Cosplayers Unite, which also had a booth at the convention. This is just a city that feels very untapped, and I'm incredibly excited to say that they are coming back next October as well. I did get to spend a little bit of time at my booth before it was time for me to go and give my first panel. So my first panel was on how to build a better build book, which is all around cosplay contests, craftsmanship contests specifically, and the document that most contests require, detailing out all the fun, intricate things that a competitor did to create their costume. Build books are an integral part of craftsmanship competitions and give us the additional knowledge needed to really make a final decision based on the craftsmanship of the costume. I will say GalaxyCon does not require a build book, but it is recommended, as it does help the judges in deliberation. It was a rather small panel, which I was not surprised given that build books are not required for the GalaxyCon contest, as well as it was early afternoon on a Friday. So I was at my table for a couple of hours before heading over to the VIP party, which had a huge turnout, but I only got to stay for about 5 minutes before I was asked to judge the After Dark contest. I was perfectly happy to do so, but I was definitely overdressed as Free-Ren, which made me feel a little awkward, but I didn't get any footage of that because it's definitely a 18+ contest, and I didn't feel right getting any footage. So there's nothing on that in this video. So with that, I was finally able to go to bed and start Saturday, which was the day I was most excited for because I was judging the craftsmanship contest. I got to head over to the exhibit hall for just a few minutes to grab some beverages and some food. get a little bit more video of what was offered before heading to prejudging. It was an integral part of craftsmanship competitions where the judges get to get up close and personal with the contestants to really understand how the costumes are made. We get to flip the hems, look at seams and foam work and all the fun stuff to make a decision on who showcased the best craftsmanship in the craftsmanship competition. I believe I have a video on this, so I will link it up in the cards and down below for more information on that. But I don't record anything within the prejudging room because it is more of a private, intimate area, and I definitely didn't want to put any of that here. So instead, here's a video of some of the puppies that they had for adoption from the Humane Society. So after prejudging, I got dressed in Ravenna and headed back over to the convention center where I wanted to prove to my brother that I was the coolest sister ever and got him an autograph with Mick Foley, who is a wrestler, also known, I know him as Mankind, but I know that he had other names. But then we got this amazing video.
I'm Mick Foley, 3-time WWE champion. This is Diane, and she is the 4th person ever to be the recipient of the Foley 360-degree hug, which allows photos to be taken from all sides, right? You initiate the pressure, and now we're going to move to, say, look at that. Isn't this the greatest thing ever invented?
That's a good bear hug.
Ta-da!
That's an excellent hug.
He was such an amazing person to me. And then after that, we got to go and have the craftsmanship contest.
Our third judge is a self-taught, award-winning cosplayer. She specializes in sewing, warbler, and pattern making. She has spent years honing her craft and sharing her knowledge with the community. She is an active advocate for body positivity and mental health. Welcome to the stage, Sylwyn Cosplay. I feel like we should curtsy.
Yes, Your
That seemed
Highness,
right.
Your Highness.
Yes. Oh.
Okay, so I am a really big fan of historical costuming. So when I see something walk into the judges' room that did the work to study historical techniques, I get really excited. I'm pretty sure I was crawling on the ground looking at everything, the hemlines, all the sort of stuff. So my judges' award goes to Ellen from Nosferatu. Those sleeves are so hard to do. There's so much technique. I was so impressed.
Watching her run, she looked like such a distressed damsel.
I know. One more time. Big round of sound for our third judge's choice.
Give it up. Striking that victory pose.
Here are all of our winners. Congratulations to them all. They definitely deserved the win. So after the craftsmanship contest, I went back to the hotel and crashed. The next day was Sunday and the last day of the convention. It was a shorter day. Just as Barbie, had a glass of wine, and just got to hang out in my booth talking to people about cosplay, which is my favorite thing to do. Before my panel, this one was about getting started in craftsmanship contest. There was a better turnout, it was at a better time for me, and it was far more interactive because I finally figured out how to properly use my iPad for a PowerPoint presentation, as well as it had the lighting set up much better so that I could step out from behind the table and talk the way I like to talk. So after the panel, it was time for me to go and judge the masquerade. The masquerade was relatively small. St. Louis is not very big in the performance cosplay contest genre, but I do think it has the potential to grow because we just haven't had this before. Before, we really only had Wizard World, and they did not, from my recollection, do a masquerade. So I think this will grow as the con grows in the area, but it was just a super great time. So after the masquerade and all the awards were given out, that was the end of my time at GalaxyCon St. Louis. We went out and had dinner from this amazing Thai place just across the street from the convention center, and then I got to go home the next day. So thank you, GalaxyCon, for having me over at your St. Louis convention, and I look forward to doing this again. Make sure to hit the like button if you like this video. Make sure to subscribe for more content from me, and with that, I will see you in my next video. Bye!